On episode 142 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we talk with Susan about her health and fitness success. You can find the show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/142. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Thank you so much for joining me. This week has been quite busy for us as we work on moving the site to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com, planning the 30-day sugar detox challenge, and continue to keep reaching out to the best guests we can. Who do I mean by us? Well, let me introduce them. Our new producer is Linda, and she's been a godsend. I've also brought on some virtual assistants to help with the site move. I do hope to see you sign up for the 30-day sugar detox challenge, where we'll pledge to limit our daily sugar intake to 50 grams. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/challenge. I'm so excited about this. Susan had come a long way on her health and fitness journey before she signed on with Forever Fitness. I'm so glad she agreed to share her story with us. So Susan, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Hi, Alan.
Well, of course, you're already with 40 Plus Fitness because we're actually a client of Forever Fitness, and I'm really happy to have you there. When we first started working together, you were what I think most of us would kind of already call a success as far as health and fitness. You'd come a long, long way in your journey. And then you just decided with Forever Fitness that you were ready to kind of step it up and have a little bit more variety and different things going on. But what I'd like for you to do is kind of take us back to the beginning of your health and fitness journey. What was going on with you and what kind of spurred this whole change?
Well, I think it was I started in April of 2012. I was 43 years old, and I think I got to that point where I realized that I weighed as much at that point in my life as I did when I was ready to deliver my third child. And obviously I wasn't pregnant. And so it was kind of a wake up call for me at that point to say, wait, I have to put the brakes on this right here, right now. Something has to change, because if it doesn't, I'm afraid I'm just going to keep getting larger and more unhealthy. And so I decided it was time to kind of reverse or turn around that spiral into negativity and continuing to worsen my health by just letting myself go. So at that point, I just figured it was time to change. And I remember taking my daughter to a volleyball practice, and I just went out and I started to walk and run and walk and run. And while she was in her sports practice for that hour, I just started moving. And that was the beginning.
Did you change your food at all, or did you pretty much just use exercise as your primary modality?
Well, I kind of started out, it started as a what you would probably call a typical diet. I had yo-yo dieted probably from the time I was in 8th grade all the way up to that point in my life. I would lose, I'd gain, I'd lose, I'd gain. Went through some of the popular plans, did the Atkins diet, found short-term success with that. And then again, the weight came back plus some, which was what I hear that happens pretty typically with people that do the dieting. It continually goes back and forth in that cycle of, and then I think one of the pivotal things that happened was that I ended up in early May attending an event where there were some giveaways, and I was joking that I would love to win one of those transformation boot camp type things. And it turns out one of my coworkers did win one, and she couldn't use it because of some arthritis issues. So she turned to me and jokingly said, well, hey, do you want this? And I jumped on it. And I think that was a huge component of my success, or it ended up being a catalyst for where I could get out of that old cycle of dieting and gaining and dieting and gaining. It was just an 8-week program, but when I completed it, I knew I wanted to continue. That wasn't the end. And talked my husband into letting me, or to supporting me and signing up for a whole year, which at that point for me was a huge commitment. And I tend to be very, shall we say, value minded, and I wasn't about to pay for something for a year and not use it. So I continued to get up very early in the morning and get myself to these classes. And the social component for me was huge. And it's interesting because my husband is very into his own fitness and he's very healthy, but he likes to work out by himself and be in his own space and do his own thing. Whereas for me, I really found there was value in connection with other people and having that interaction in my fitness journey and have seeing other people and being with other people that were on the same journey. And for me, that made a big difference. And I think in the long run, it's something I've continued to do.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a couple of key points I'd like to just kind of preface here is, one, you made a commitment and then you made a financial commitment, which kind of, I guess, basically you had some skin in the game. And that kind of gave you that continual motivation because again, you paid for it already and you want to use it, but you knew your behavior and you knew your mind. So you knew that an investment like that would do something like that to you. And then I think the other thing that you hit on, which I think is awesome because I'm a lot more like your father. When I work out, I would so much rather just be me in the gym and everybody else just leave, just leave. But I understand your social nature and you do understand your social nature. So a group environment, or at least having the support groups and the people around you and the communities, those are aspects of training that you find very valuable and keep you going and energized.
Exactly. And it's funny because now with my current gym that I've been at for the last 18 months or so, and I've gotten more into lifting and doing some more weight bearing and independent activities, but I still thrive on having people around me. Even if I don't talk to anybody the whole time that I'm there, there's people there. And for me, it's a difference between saying, forget it, I'm going to hit snooze 10 times and then decide not to get up. Or I'm actually going to get in there and I'm going to go and just being surrounded by that mental energy of other people doing the same thing. And sometimes, I do make it a little bit of a competition. It's like, well, you know what? That person just lifted, that barbell without much weight on it that many times. So I'm not going to give up either. I mean, and you can tell that it's hard for other people sometimes, and they're lifting a lot or they're doing a lot of repetitions. Like they're putting in the effort. I can put in the effort too. So it just works for me.
Now, you've come a good long way. And then, like I said earlier, you had, when you reached out to me the last time I had the Forever Fitness program open, I was kind of doing a pilot of it initially. And you reached out to me saying you just kind of wanted someone to help you tweak your programming, tweak your food, just someone you could bounce ideas off of. And I'm really glad you signed on because I really enjoy working with you and I'm glad you're a part of the program. But why did you think or decide that you needed a coach?
For me, I guess I sometimes think in analogies and I think about taking a trip or going on a vacation, and you go to maybe this awesome vacation spot and you can find the sights and see the wonderful things that are there and experience it just fine on your own. You can do a self-guided tour, but to have somebody that's like a tour guide for you or somebody to come alongside and point things out that maybe you wouldn't notice on your own to help you maximize that experience is exactly why I wanted to hire you as a coach, because it's that person that kind of can see things, that knows the journey, that maybe can give me a perspective that I wouldn't have on my own.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, and one of the things we went into, if you don't mind me sharing, was some variations in your squat and how just slowing your squat down and doing a pause at the bottom was going to give you an entirely different lifting experience. Most people would think of progressions in the terms of I'm either going to add weight or I'm going to add reps. But I'm giving you something because, again, you were talking about wanting to build a little bit of mass. So we were talking about duration of time. And so by taking that pause at the bottom, now really forces you to remove all the momentum and it changes your lift. And so, again, I was glad as a coach that and the front squat were two of the things that I could kind of introduce you to as a means of kind of changing up your programming and getting better results.
Yeah, those front squats, man. There's been some times, Alan, you might not like what I was thinking when I was doing them, but still, they continue to be a challenge. But that's the benefit of the coach. It's like my coach wants me to do these, and I might not quite I might know that I need to do them, but not have the drive to do them on my own. But knowing that my coach, who I respect and trust and admire, is actually saying these are going to be good for you, and it just gives me that extra push to say, okay, I have to do this. Don't love it, but
But you probably have noticed that your back squats are a little bit more stable, and you're probably able to keep yourself upright and move a little bit more weight now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The results say what they need to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now when we go back to how you felt, some of the words that you used, kind of a spiral and kind of that unhappy and kind of seeing, I guess for a lack of a better word, you didn't use this word, but I'll use it as the abyss, is like things were going to get bad if they didn't get better. Comparing and contrast that to how you feel now.
Oh, wow, huge difference. Just that in terms of the self-acceptance, I almost feel like sometimes I've gone the other way. I mean, before it was, as many women would think about going swimsuit shopping and what a terrible experience that can be, and how unhappy we are post fitting room. And now it's something that I, love to do. And I love to be able to feel, regardless of how I necessarily look to other people, but feel like, I can put a swimsuit on and I can go to the pool, and I don't feel like I want to hide under a huge muumuu. I just feel better about myself, and I feel more self-confident. And I feel like it carries over, not just in how I feel on the inside, but how I carry myself, and how I can just feel like I'm more positive overall, and I have a better outlook on life. And I think meeting my goals in terms of weight and fitness also helps me feel like the rest of my life is also more manageable, and it's definitely a more overall positive feeling that I have just from day to day and moment to moment.
Okay, compare then to now. How's your energy level?
Hugely different. Most nights my husband likes to go for a walk after dinner, and I want to do that, and to be able to, my children are older now, but to be able to want to go and do things with them. And even in terms of when I get home from work, I no longer just want to sit on the couch and vegetate for the rest of the evening. I actually want to do things.
That's cool.
And enjoy life.
That's completely awesome. I guess the last one I'll ask you is, you didn't say that you had any medical issues or anything, any conversations with the doctor, but maybe you did, and maybe you are now. Are they better? If you did and you are, were they better conversations than you had before?
Yeah, I've lifelong basically had a thyroid condition, and that's typically made it very easy for me to put on fat and difficult for me to lose it. I think definitely the conversations. I remember the first time I went to the doctor after the initial weight loss 4 years ago, and I wasn't even thinking about the change in my weight at that point. And he was somewhat amazed because it was 40 pounds. And he was just like, wow, he did some blood work, and my triglycerides were down, and my good cholesterol was up. My bad cholesterol is down. I'm just, and I'm able to, my iron levels are much better. And so that, obviously translates into having more energy. And he pretty much just gave me the pat on the back and said, keep doing whatever you're doing. So it definitely makes doctor's visits less painful. And then I did have go through actually a depression issue after the initial weight loss. And I think it enabled me to keep the medication that I needed low dose, and enabled me to get through that experience. And then also to wean off the medication in the next, once I'd been on it a year, to get off of it. And so that was a pretty good feeling, knowing that by taking care of myself physically, it also helped me through that mental stumbling block in my life.
So again, I really appreciate you sharing. And I kind of, what my takeaway from your story, if I had to give this a title, is know thyself, and then just do it.
I agree.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much, Susan, for coming on. I really do appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you again for spending your time with me. I'd like to ask you for a favor. Would you be willing to volunteer as a show notes writer for the 40 Plus Fitness podcast? We have almost 100 past episodes to write up, and I could really use your help. Thank you. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we discuss ketosis. As you may recall, I started working with ketosis to lose body fat. Well, I've lost 15 pounds in the month since I started. I'll see you next time. Have a happy and healthy day.